I don't have enough ways to describe how much I like it, girls and boys. I know that I sound like a fangirl because I am fangirling the living stuff out of this track. Hello there, girls and boys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be analyzing, finally, Alan Parsons' project. The song in question is going to be, of course, Eye in the Sky from the album Eye in the Sky. And this is one of my favorite records ever. And not just because the song is badass and the album is great, it's also because this is one of those records that actually I always use for referencing a new room or a new system, wherever it is, headphones or speakers. Because this album is one of my sacred trilogy of albums that I consider to be the best mixes ever. It's of course comprised by Eye in the Sky by Alan Parsons, ABC's The Lexicon of Love, and of course Asia by Steely Dan, which we haven't reacted to yet. We will soon. And the reason why I pick them as, or I use them as my learning experience when it comes to adapting myself to a new room, is because those records are so greatly crafted. They sound so good that I know for sure that if they sound the way they should in whatever environment I am in, we're dealing with a properly calibrated system. And in this case, we're gonna be listening to the song that I actually use every freaking time, which is Eye in the Sky. So with that being said, let's get into it. But before we go, girls and boys, if this is your first time on the channel, I welcome you, because in here we analyze the music that we love from the perspective of an active musician and professional music producer, using language that everybody can understand, in a way to expand our knowledge when it comes to music production and songwriting. So if this is your jam, let's rock and roll now. So here we go, girls and boys, Eye in the Sky by the Alan Parsons Project. What an incredibly beautiful sounding mix, don't you think? The first time that I listened to this track, girls and boys, I was blown away by it. And believe it or not, I didn't listen to this track when I was a kid. I discovered the song when I was already getting my toes into the waters of what is music production. I was still young, of course, but it wasn't that long ago. So for me, it was a very interesting discovery, because this is the first time that I realized how beautiful music could sound if worked on correctly. At that stage of my life, I was already pretending to be a guitar player and learning how to be a musician. And I didn't have that much experience when it came to music. Well, not to music, but to music production. Okay, And this is the first time that I actually realized the importance of having someone such as Alan Parsons behind the mixing desk, but also leading the project. This is the reason why I started to develop myself into the career that is music production. And look at me now. But now, coming back to the sound of the mix, I mentioned or told you that story to you because of the impressive use of the stereo field. You saw that I had the stereo field analyzer, which shows you the different points on which the music is either coming from the left or the right, and the moments in which you have accents, on which you have more sound on one side or the other, it shows, and you saw it. And for me, the moment in which they began adding more of the guitars, because this is at least the beginning of the track, is filled to the brim with electric guitars, but also acoustic guitars, and all of them are extremely well distributed across the stereo field. Once again, for those of you who are not familiar with the terminology, the stereo field stands for the sound coming from one of your headphone cans or the other, or speakers if you are rocking a stereo pair. And when we are mixing music, we have the capabilities of moving or pushing the sound to one side or the other, or keeping it in the center, known as the phantom center. Okay, more on that on a much more profound video. But when you're mixing music, depending on where you put the stuff across that stereo field, you make the sound of the mix feel bigger or more contained or more directed, or it could be like this kind of spatial effect that makes the sound feel that comes from one side and then moves to the other. All sorts of beautiful things that can be done through the use of the stereo field. And this album is excelling with the use of it because it's there, but it's not that clear to you. It's cleverly done. It's done in great taste. And I think it's one of the reasons why I like it so much. And this album is known to be one of the best sounding records in history. It's not just my own opinion. Many people. And people who I happen to respect quite a lot in this kind of endeavor. They have a great hearing of themselves. Now, what do you think about the sound of the instruments? I think it's the first thing that took me by surprise. Because being a rock and roller, I grew with the bombastic sound of a big-ass drum kit. And in this album, the drum kit is tiny, particularly the snare. The snare is beautiful, but it doesn't feel... This is not Guns N' Roses, if you know what I mean. The tone of the snare is very much super contained. It feels not tame, not timid, but correct. I don't know if that makes sense to you. Because it's tiny enough, but big at the same time. It's not bombastic, but it's present. And the sound is beautiful. The entirety of the kit is also quite following the same principle. It's quite there, but it's not gigantic. And I think it serves the songs correctly. Because the music in this album, it's quite reminiscent to this one. It's more on the serene, a little bit more on the not that insanely hard rocking music, but still has plenty of edge. And you saw how the song starts off as kind of serious, then it goes a little bit happier during the chorus, and then it becomes quite dark when I can read your mind. That section when they bring back the introduction of the song, which is not the opening section of the track. This is actually the second half of the opener, which is known as Serious. And it's a great instrumental that, for those of you who grew up in the 90s, you might remember it being the opening music for the Chicago Bulls when they had the one and only Michael Jordan playing with them. Badass. Man, he was great. But wherever. This track is badass. And I love how they bring back that element, because this is a conceptual album, by the way, Girls and Boys. This is meant to be heard or listened to in one sitting from start to finish. So there is a sequence in the music, and it's very important to the whole experience. You can listen to it as standalones, but it's not the best experience, in my opinion. But the use of the harmony and how they brought back that particular thing that I strongly recommend you to listen to by your own changes the dynamics of the song quite a lot. and gives this extra emotion to the track. Beautiful. Then, when I pointed at that, when they introduced an acoustic guitar playing on top of the electrics, I think that's one of the most beautiful things that this song has to offer when it comes to sound. It's so beautiful. It's kind of crystalline. It's pristine. It feels like water. But again, when it comes to describing the sound of music, it's quite difficult, and we kind of delve into more esoteric territories. But I hope that made sense to you. What do you think about that? I think it's a great sounding guitar. I know that this is going to be super fanboyish, but who cares? This album is fantastic, and this is a great example. I'm going to press play, girls and boys, and I'm going to try to let the song play for long enough so we can actually hit the analyzer, because damn it, this song is filled to the rim with details that I want to share with you once we hit the much more detailed analysis of this track. So here we go. Let's continue.
Don't leave false illusion behind. Don't cry, I ain't changing my mind. So find another fool like before, 'cause I ain't gonna live anymore believing some of the lies, while all of the signs are deceiving. I am the eye in the sky, looking at you. I can read your mind. I am the maker of rules, dealing with fools. I can cheat you blind, and I don't need to see anymore to know that I can read your mind. I can read your mind. I can read your mind. I can read your mind.
Sorry, girls and boys, I know. But damn it, they introduced the electric guitar with a little bit of distortion. And it added yet another layer of intensity, don't you think? So cool, but also extremely, how can I put it? Elegant. That's the way to summarize the sound of the mix. Speaking of which, let's take a look at the analyzer now. Over here, girls and boys, we got Decibel, which is the plugin, or if I put it in better terms, the application that we've been using so far, and it's been in front of you since the beginning of this music analysis. This tool allows us to analyze music through the use of a visual medium. And in here, we got two different analyzers per se. We got here the first one, which is the frequency range analyzer, which through the use of this white line is telling us how loud each of the individual frequencies that conforms and creates the human hearing range were displayed, or how loud they were throughout the performance or the playback of the song. And incredibly enough, well, not surprising at all, we got a very tame, beautiful, not bombastic, as honest to God as it could be, mix. Because you can see that nothing is extremely loud. And when compared to the records, for example, the one that you got right now in front of you, the sound of this mix is very, very tame. And that's because this record is coming from a different age, a different era, girls and boys, on which music was, at least music production, was trying to get the best sound. And one of the ways to create that sound was not by making the loudest record, but it's through creating the best amalgamation, the best interaction, and the best mix between and interactions between the different instruments that are part of the song. And this record is popular and is respected for such a thing. Because as you can see here, girls and boys, we don't have a pronounced low end. We got the right amount. And how do I know it's the right amount? Because we could hear it. And this is just a tool to tell us how loud it was. And I don't know if you could tell it on your end, but it's clear to me that the sound of the music is not extremely hyped on the low end. It's not harsh by any means. It's actually kind of dark sounding, which is not that intense or not that high on the high end, okay, which is this section over here. And it's giving us this cozy tone through everything that it's so cool. Then we don't have that much guitar, electric guitar energy, even though this is a rock record. The guitar sound is still quite tame, and most of the mid to low to mid highs is represented by vocals, cymbals, and a little bit of the air of the electric guitars, and of course the attack of the drums. But it's so beautiful, and also. I don't know if you could pay attention enough, or if it was easy for you to see, because it took me years, Garson, to learn how to listen to this. But how well integrated each of the sounds of the different instruments that are creating the wall of sound that is this song uh, feel like they are part of one thing. Nothing feels like it's floating in the ear. Either everything is there, and it feels that they have a purpose. It's not that they feel compressed. It's not that they feel smashed together. Everything feels like it's part of a whole. How deep is that, right? This is well, it's so beautiful, and that comes not just from the incredible skills displayed at the mixing stage, but also during the production, the development of the sound of the guitars, the development of the sound of the drums, the recordings, the mic selection, the equipment used for the recording of each of the individual instruments, the incredible performance of all of the musicians. You can hear inspiration and care being part of the production of this album, and it shows. For as much as I could spend hours just discussing this, girls and boys, it's gonna be quite nerdy. But I wanna take you to the second analyzer, girls and boys, because here's where the most musical aspect of this track is gonna be displayed. This is the dynamic range analyzer, and this tool is going to allow us to see how loud the track has been throughout the different sections of the song throughout time. And this is important, girls and boys, because as I said before, making a loud record doesn't mean that you're going to make a much more better sounding record. It's simply louder. The thing is that during a certain point in time, somebody discovered that the louder the record, the more units you can move of such a record. Why is that? Because for whatever reason, our human hearing interprets and thinks that louder means more exciting. So that's what it's known. And when that happened, when everybody started to compete with each other to see how loud they can make their records, we entered a period known as the loudest wars. And as you can imagine, in order to make a record loud, you have to do all sorts of tricks. And while making everything louder, that means that you're removing the quieter parts. And why is that such a bad thing? For our human ears, as I explained to you, when something is loud, it feels exciting, more fun. But what happens when something is not that loud or quieter? It feels mysterious. It feels intriguing. It feels sexy to a certain degree. It feels that there is something more intimate happening, or it's about to happen. So you can imagine, like what happens with a movie, when music is produced. With that in mind, you can use intensity in volume to convey emotions. And the interactions between the different sections, the loudest part with the quieter part, are known as dynamic range. And you can tell now the importance of it in music. It makes music better and much more important and much more interesting. And this analyzer, girls and boys, this blue blob is showing us exactly that. You can see that the introduction to the track was super low. And it ramped up little by little, little by little. And this is where the vocals kicked in. You can see that the song stood the same, but once we hit the chorus, which is clearly displayed here, the vocals were joined by a very beautiful chorus or choir singing together and creating a vocal harmony that fills up the space, creates a much bigger sounding section, much more excitement could be felt during that chorus, making the chorus much more impactful than just by simply having everything as loud as it was. Now you see why it's so important, right? And you can see that progressively speaking, the track kept evolving. See how loud it got when we got to the actual, the highest point in volume in the first chorus. It's insane. It's almost double the volume, girls and boys. Look at that. That's masterful. And did you hear the difference in volume? No, but you felt it. It was way more impactful, way more emotional, and it was way more engaging. And see how cleverly, during the outro of that chorus, when I can see your eyes, this section, you can see that they lower the volume little by little, to give the impression of it being darker and much more ominous. So well done. And let's take a look at the second half. Now, what used to be the almost loudest point, it's now the standard. There is more emotion because the track is getting momentum. And you can see that even I'm getting excited just discussing this because this is marvelous. This is beautiful. This is, again, increasing in intensity, increasing in volume, but it's waiting for the big moment to happen. And here is the second glorious verse. The highest point in volume probably throughout the entirety of the track. You got the amalgamation, once again, of the vocals. This is the introduction of electric guitar with a little bit of overdrive, adding more intensity to the track and to the performance. So good. Girls and boys, once again, if you happen to be a music producer yourself, a musician, or somebody who is aspiring to become a composer, please, I can't stress enough the importance of dynamic range in music. This is what makes or breaks a record, for real. Ignore the quality of the recording, ignore the quality of the mix. If the composition is devoid of dynamic range, everything will feel flat, and it will fall flat on its ass. Period. Okay, let's listen to the final section of the song. This is so good.
I am the eye in the sky, looking at you. I can read your mind. I am the maker of rules, dealing with fools. I can cheat you blind, and I don't need to see anymore to know that I can read your mind. I can read your mind. I can read your mind. I can read your mind.
There you have it. Isn't it amazing, girls and boys? This song is so good. I don't have enough ways to describe how much I like it, girls and boys. I know that I sound like a fangirl because I am fangirling the living stuff out of this track. But it's because this song means a lot to me. Not just because of how beautiful and great the composition is, but it's also because, as I stated before, it showed me how beautiful music can actually sound if you put care, if you put effort, if you truly devote yourself on learning the craft of conveying emotion through sound. Yeah, is that important, girls and boys? At least to me. I would like to know what do you think about the track. This song is popular enough, I think, for many of you to have heard at least once in your lifetime, and I hope that this helped you to appreciate it more. Because again, being a fan of this album, I had the chance to actually meet Alan Parsons. He was giving a conference in the town I was living in at the time, and I had the chance to actually hear him speak, and he described some of the efforts involved in the record, and I was, it showed. It clearly shows. And badass. Huge inspiration for me as a music producer, and please tell me the name of the musicians because I am extremely bad at it. I always forget the names of everybody, for real. And I would like you to tell me the name of the musicians because they are at the top of their game, unlike my speech. Great musicians and great performance all around. Now, girls and boys, what do you think about Alan Parsons as a producer and also as a musician? Where do you think he excels the most? I'm not going to tell you my opinion because this is a question directed to you. But it will be fun to see what you think about him. Now, which song by him, either as a musician or as a producer, should I analyze with you together next? Because he has plenty of great records, and I know there is a particular record that has a triangle on the cover that we haven't explored yet in the channel, but I'm waiting for a particularly special moment. Maybe when I have another martini, we can have that discussion. But in the meantime, girls and boys, please tell me which one would be the next record to analyze by him. It can be from this very album as well, which it would be awesome because this album is badass. Okay, girls and boys, as usual, if you like to support this kind of content and you like to support this channel, the best way to do it is by listening to music on Apple Music or Spotify, and also by following us on social media such as Instagram and X, because that's the best way for you to get in touch with us in a much more personal basis. Now, girls and boys, as every single time I meet you, I can remind you that you should never let anybody tell you what to dream about. And remember, I will see you when I see you.